Thank you all for everything that you did because, yeah, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the work that you guys do at Celebration.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Hanging Out with Successful Bar Exam Takers. And today we have the kind of thing that I just love to discuss, and that is a successful California attorney applicant. Jerome, welcome and congratulations.
Thank you very much, Jackson.
This must be an incredible feeling for you. You made a couple of tries at this exam, it beat you up, and then to get through and pass in July had to be a great feeling.
Oh, no, it was amazing. It's definitely a long time coming. I first took the exam back in 2006, and my last attempt at it was in, I think, 2007 or maybe 2008. I kind of forgot about it for all these years and decided to come back and take another shot and was successful.
Yeah. What caused you after more than a 10-year gap to decide to do it? I know you're licensed in Florida, so you had a practice going there.
Yes. So after failing the California bar exam in a few attempts, I went and took the Florida exam in 2009 and was successful, fortunately. And then all these years passed, the California bar exam was always still a thorn in my side. I wanted to accomplish that and I just needed to get it past me. And I'm originally from California and I always had thoughts of perhaps returning back to my home state. And I had a lull in my practice. It was like a slow period. So I found it as the opportune time to take another stab at it and attempt to pass the exam. Yeah. So everything worked out fortunately for me.
Yeah. It's got to be very different to take the exam when you're already licensed than when you're just trying to get licensed. Is that fair to say?
Yes, because I think that I had more confidence on my side and then also years of experience as far as writing and arguing motions before judges. But I think the biggest factor was the confidence, the fact that I was successful in passing Florida. And I felt that I could pass the California bar exam because there were some things I think I learned between the time that I took my California bar exam and the time I took my Florida exam that I made some adjustments as far as my writing. And I think that helped as well in my confidence. But California is a whole nother animal.
Sure is. It is the most difficult bar exam in the country. And the California exam in 2022 was much more difficult than the California bar exam in 2006, 2007. So that's really an extraordinary accomplishment to get through it. Plus, when you've got the demands of practice and family, that's a challenge too, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. Blessed to have the support of my family. I have a 1-year-old and a 10-year-old. So it's a lot going on. And I had the practice that I was running, albeit it was a little bit slow during that time period, but I still had hearings that I had to attend, clients that I had to take care of. I wasn't able to fully focus on just the bar exam like I was in 2006 when I didn't have a family and was not employed. But
Yeah.
yeah, there definitely were some challenges to that.
Yeah.
I was a little
Thank
bit
you.
worried as far as when I first started studying because I started studying at the beginning of April. And even then, I didn't think that was enough time. That's another thing, too, I should say. I didn't study like I did in the past. I would study in the past 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. And I didn't do that this time. I valued my family time and did just like a basic work day. And every now and then I had interruptions here and there for work. But
Sure. So how many hours a week would you say you were studying on average?
oh, probably I studied Monday through Friday. So probably like 20 hours, maybe 20 to 25. I didn't really do much study on the weekends at all. Maybe 3 hours on a Saturday. I ramped it up a little bit once we got closer to the exam, but Monday through Friday, it was basic like 9 to 5. And then every now and then I would have distractions because of work, but that's really what I put into it because I have a family. And plus, you don't want to get burnt out like you had advised. And it's really true.
That's great. And of course, the approach that we used to the Celebration Bar Review was different than what you had done previously, correct?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. As far as I was one of the people that took the big box courses. And yeah, I felt like I was just like a number and just really got lost in the shuffle. And I didn't feel like I was able to really maximize my study time by following the course.
One of the tools that you used in our course was photo reading. I'd like you to talk a little bit about that, explain how it worked for you and what you thought about it, because it's obviously a question we get from a lot of people. Did it help you as you studied for the exam?
It definitely helped me as far as being able to save time in regards to going through my outlines. I was able to do that, go through the outlines through the photo reading process rather quickly and amazingly being able to retain the information that I was reading. And photo reading, it's not something that I just use for the bar exam because once I learned it, I'm applying it today, whether I'm reading case law or reading an article. It's definitely, I feel, a life changer.
Yeah, it really does change things. It's hard to explain how it works, except that you're reading so quickly, going to the non-conscious mind. How many times would you say you photo read an outline as you were studying? Do you have a sense of that?
I definitely would read an outline for each subject several times because over the course when I was doing my review, because I was going through multiple outlines during my studies,
Yeah, and how long would it take you to photo read an outline?
I would follow what the standard was. So I think it was, I can't remember what you had allotted for the recommended time for photoring, but that's what I would use.
Yeah,
So I definitely wasn't spending 6 hours reading an outline. It was more compact, maybe an
right.
hour or two, I would say.
Yeah. And then were you creating mind maps from the photo reading?
Yes, I was doing the mind maps and the mind maps were great. That's another thing that I wish I would have known about mind maps back when I was a student in undergrad or even in law school, because the way I had been note taking all these years, yeah, it worked for what I was doing, but I didn't think it was the most effective way to take notes. Mind maps are amazing. I don't know if I was doing mind maps correctly, but it worked for me. I might have been putting too much information, but it worked for me. And it helped me retain information while I was taking the exam. I could visualize certain specific mind maps and where the information was and apply it to whatever essay I was tackling.
Yeah, it's a really effective note-taking tool. When you combine it with photo reading, what happens is that you're saving time in the reading. You've got more time to do more effective note-taking, and then you add to the mind map from the lectures and the question practice. And so the combined effect is a deeper knowledge, I think. Is that safe to say that you felt like you knew the law rather than you tried to memorize it?
Definitely. And yeah, that's another thing. Exams, I was memorizing a lot. I would spend like weeks memorizing things. And it was a little bit scary to try to take this exam with, I trusted the process, of course. And I didn't memorize, but I didn't need to because of the mind maps and the photo reading and just how that process worked. It was a different take on the exam for sure.
Yeah. A lot of times I talk to people, Jerome, about photo reading who used it and they say, I don't know how it works. I don't know why it works. It just works. Is that a fair way to put it?
Yes, definitely, definitely. It's a little strange at first when you start learning it, but you really have to, like I said, trust the process. And the other thing that photo reading helped me with, it helps to get you comfortable as well. As far as when you're taking the exam, I did the breathing method when I was sitting in the exam room just to get myself focused. And what was it, the little ball above the head?
Yeah.
I did all that. And I think it helped to get me in the correct mindset as I took the exam, because being in that big convention center with all these people, it's a stressful time. So it helped to put me at ease.
Yeah, I want to talk about that because as we came out of COVID and we went back into in-person exams, the world changed again. And certainly in California with these big test centers, there was a lot going on. There is a lot of anxiety at the test, right?
Definitely. Yeah. It's an intimidating process. You're in a huge conference room full of nervous and anxious individuals, and you have to try to maintain your focus, zone everything else out, and just think about the exam and not get distracted by what other people are doing.
Yeah. And I think it helps to be able to do the breathing, to be more relaxed, to not be exhausted when you go to the exam, and to have a sense of confidence. Did you feel confident going into the test? No one ever knows, but did you feel pretty confident as you went in?
I did. I felt pretty confident. Of course, I had some doubt in the back of my mind just because you just never know. And I've taken California bar exams in the past. I know how difficult they can be. But once I opened the essay booklets and saw the questions, the confidence arose in me. And even after the test, I never had that feeling before after taking the California bar exam where I felt like, hey, I have a fighting chance. Like I did pretty good on this, I think. And I was a little bit scared to have that feeling because maybe I'm being overconfident, but it was a different feeling leaving the test than in previous years for sure.
That's great. I wanted to talk a little bit about the writing approach. I know that you did the writing workshops, and we used a different writing style than IRAC. We used something called fact law application. Can you talk a little bit about what that process was like for you and what the writing style meant for you?
Sure, definitely. And I think the FLA approach, it's easier to tackle these bar exam essays using that approach rather than IRAC. Because I think in IRAC, you get boggled in trying to memorize certain things and the details, and you lose the substance that you need and what the bar examiners are looking for. I think when I was taking the big courses in the past, I didn't really understand the right way to tackle essays. I don't think that it was explained properly. And in the past, I always did well on the MBEs, but it was the essays that were my Achilles heel. And um, the FLA style, if I had known the FLA style back then, I think I would have passed. And the writing workshop was very effective as well. I almost didn't do it, and I'm glad I did because I scheduled it in July. So a couple of weeks before the exam, I took it. And it was great to have that professional critique of my writing. And there were some pointers provided to me that I'm really glad I received because I think I might have messed up the essays had I not received that critique. And on the exam, there were a couple essays where I was stumped, and it seemed like everybody was stumped on this one particular essay. But the FLA method, it provided me with a chance to just put some sort of answer down, albeit I wasn't sure it was the correct answer, but using that method, I was able to formulate some sort of answer that I thought was coherent. And in the past, when I would come across my previous exams, when I came across an essay that I just blanked on, I really didn't know what to write. And I think that Iraq style didn't allow me to write anything, but using the FLA method, I was able to at least put down an answer and put down case law and arguments. And I also like how you structured it because this is how I wrote my essays. I wrote it: A will argue this, I said B will argue this, and B will win because. And I used that on all of my essays. And I had never done that in the past. That helped as well, I think, having that mindset when I was writing the essays.
Yeah, and it's really an accomplishment because the pass rate for repeat bar takers in California is under 20%. So you're fighting the odds when you come in against this. And so to write the essays, to feel comfortable with them, to get through that written part of the exam and pass is tremendous accomplishment. Can you tell me what it felt like? What happened when results came out? What was the experience?
It was nice because I live in Florida, but I was back in California because I was flying in for my mother's birthday. And it just so happened that it coincided with the date that the results were about to be released. So it was nice to be able to open those results. Actually, I was at the dinner table. My parents didn't even know that the results were coming out. And I looked at it on my phone and calmly told them the news, and they were ecstatic and I was over the moon, and it was such a great feeling. I was scared to pass because I'm not sure if I would have taken it again just because of the way my life is today. And I don't know if I could have taken the time out again. Especially my family, they sacrificed so much to allow me to study. And oh man, it was such a great feeling after all these years.
Oh, I bet. And your family must be so proud of you. I was thinking about your 10-year-old just beginning to understand what tests mean, and that dad passed a really big test.
Yeah, I felt that pressure too because he kept asking me, "Hey, what happened with the exam? Did you pass?" And I have to remind him, no, California, we have to wait all the way until November for the results. It was a great feeling to tell him that I passed because I wanted to make him proud, you know.
Well, I'm sure he is proud, and I'm sure that your entire family is proud, and they'll enjoy watching this conversation as well. What advice would you give someone, Jerome, who's in the position where they've taken the exam maybe a few years ago, didn't pass, and now they're trying to decide whether or not to come back and take it? What would you say to them at this point?
Yeah, I would tell them that don't give up. If it's something that you really want, work towards it and take the celebration course because it works. I followed the course from start to finish, did everything that you told me to do. I highly recommend doing the photo reading, learning the mind maps, and taking at least one writing workshop course. And then if you need to do the group coaching as well. I followed that structure. And you know what? Actually, I had a friend. The reason he actually inspired me because we went to law school together, and several years back, he took the California bar exam and passed. And I asked him, I said, "How did you pass?" And he told me about Celebration Bar Review. And so I reached out several years later and I asked him, "So what did you do?" He said, "I just followed the course."
Yeah.
And so I did the same thing.
We appreciate that, and thank you. Sometimes I get the rap that, California is so tough. Why should I take the exam? And why should I take your course? Our students pass. I think that's the reason. And we're so excited when we can bring people into the bar and give them this opportunity. For you, this was a bucket list kind of thing to finish it up, right?
Yes, definitely. And it gives me more options because, like I said, my family is still out in California. And one day I'd like to go back out there. So it just gives me more options. And it's that thorn in my side that had been bothering me all these years. And I got the monkey off my back finally.
That's great. Thanks so much for sharing your story. We're really proud of you. We're excited for you. Licensed now on both coasts.
Yes.
That's a nice twofer to have. And who knows, maybe the UB is in your future.
Why
Yeah.
not?
Yeah, exactly. Any other advice you would offer people that are thinking about what to do at this stage?
Sure. Actually, for attorney applicants, it really makes a big difference that you don't have to worry about the MBE. I know some people say it's optional, you can take the MBE, but I would highly advise against doing that because
Yeah.
you really want to focus on the essays and having that extra time where you don't have to take the MBE or worry about the MBE and practice those. Oh gosh, it makes a world of difference. And I think that helped me pass for sure.
Yeah, I think that's really a good point that if you don't have to sit for the MBE day, it's definitely to your advantage to stay away from it. So I think that's great. Jerome, thank you again. We appreciate you taking the time and sharing your story.
Of course, Jackson. You're right. It really does because I was looking for videos myself of people that are in my similar position, attorney applicants. And there weren't that many videos out there with attorney applicants. It was mostly people that had not passed any bar. Hopefully this can help people in the future. But thank you all for everything that you did because I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the work that you guys do at Celebration.
Thank you so much. Look forward to great things happening for you. And I really appreciate you assisting other people as they're going through this process and thinking about it. And so, for those of you in our audience, we appreciate you being with us as always. Hope that this has been encouraging and inspirational because it certainly inspires me. And so, with that, Jerome, thank you so much. And please stay in touch.
Thank you, Jackson. Take care. Good luck, everybody.